All right guys, welcome back to the channel. So this is another angle kit update video. So I have the black V in here, just pulled a wheel off, got it in the air. We're gonna do a test kit of what hopefully is the final 3D printed version. Again, shout out Fisher 360 Integrations for helping me out with this big time. This should hopefully be the final test piece to then jump into getting the first CNC billet aluminum piece made, so that we can start selling these angle kits and start using these angle kits. So I'm gonna put it on. I gotta take my car apart to an extent, and then what I'm going to do from there is take a couple final measurements, and then we'll move forward. So let's jump into this, basically. Follow along. All right, it is hot, it is gross, but we're gonna get this done. Remove the rotor, and then we're gonna disconnect our lower ball joint. And then we're gonna have to press our factory ball joint out, which I'm gonna have to figure out with this press. I do have a new factory ball joint, so when I do put this back together, I can, I'll put a fresh ball joint in. Next, it's gonna be our outer tie rod. Remove that off the knuckle. So once that's out, our knuckle is free. That thing is a mess. Our knuckle is free, so we can go ahead and give it a spin, wipe off that grease. And we have ourselves a 21 millimeter nut for our ball joint. So we're just gonna give that a yank. Spin that off. Gonna give that a couple taps of the hammer just to try and free it up off the knuck, and then we'll be good to press this ball joint out. So with the ball joint out, I can lift the knuckle and move it out of the way. Move it back for that. Now I need to Now I need to figure out what I need to press this guy out of the bottom of the LCA. That's too big. All right, so this needed a little convincing with some Aerocroil. Sprayed it in, let it soak. I think the ball joint is starting to move now, but look at this. Check this out. Now, if you remember from the last video where I was talking about this with the white ones, a couple of things we improved upon. One of them, this bolt is now recessed, so we will not be coming in contact with the arm of the steering arm here, the pickup point. We have our shank all in place here, and all the angles line up. This is not a flat piece right here. This is an angled section. And then we're gonna have a through bolt that lines up right through here with the factory pickup point. So as you can see, you're moving your pickup point from here to here, which honestly, I think is a little more than my cut knuckles. So my cut knuckles, basically this is butted up against this. So your pickup point is still, where it's actually bolting up, is still kind of like out here. So we are a little further in. So I'll be curious to see. Now, limiting factor we're gonna run into is this lower control arm right here, but I think I have an idea to get around that we will experiment with. But then we have our spherical bearing ball joint adapter piece right here, and then we have some offsetting spacers right here. So I just got to get this ball joint out, and then we will press in this piece by hand, most likely, because it's a little different. But we'll get that piece in, and then we'll be able to put this on as if it was on the car, and then I can take a measurement for the tie rod and all that jazz. All right, there she is, all corroded and making a mess on my floor, but it's out. Put the socket down. I'm gonna wipe this area out, clean it up. Oh, look at that, nice shiny aluminum. And what this is it's a cup that has a FK spherical bearing in it. Fisher 3D printed some snap rings, which were pretty neat, just to simulate it all. So, another spacer right here. That spacer can actually stay there. So this will press in from the bottom side. So I'm just gonna tap it in. You're gonna send that guy all the way up until the bottom lip is flush. And then you're gonna have your shank right here that has a spacer on it. I do need to make a spacer, a proper spacer that is angled so that it fits, but you get the idea for demonstration purposes. So then you're gonna lift and you're gonna slide that all the way down and through, like so. You're gonna put another bottom spacer on there, and then you're gonna put your bottom nut on. So now what we have is a spherical lower ball joint. Let's bring you in here. Now I have a spherical lower ball joint. That cup sits perfect with the lower control arm. We're spaced off of it, and look at that. And we got a spacer down here so that we can have articulation of the joint, the spherical joint itself. And then this basically what it's doing is by spacing the knuckle up, we are creating what is called roll center correction. So we will actually be pushing by doing this, we are ultimately lowering the car while allowing the suspension to be higher in the front. I think I'm saying that right. But what we're gonna have is a lower control arm that is actually flatter when the car is lowered, which will keep all the suspension geometry much happier at the end of the day. On this car, I don't know if you can see under there, maybe, but the angle of this lower control arm when this car used to be all slammed and it's like stanced out was so crazy that the inside would scrape the ground because lower control arm was like this. It was nuts. So this roll center correction is gonna help with that, and that'll be just one of the benefits of this kit. Now, as I don't have a bolt yet for here. I gotta actually, that's a measurement I need to take. So we're gonna swing it around. But now you can see where our new pickup point will be. Let me do some switching around and I'll set this thing up a little better to give you a better idea here. So the next step that I'm doing here, I took my tie rod off, my outer, left the inner, I duct taped the nut so that it wouldn't really spin. And this car needed an alignment anyways, but we want to try and keep it, you know, relatively intact. We're gonna tuck our ABS wire up out of here. So now I slid the Heim joint and the spacers on, just so that now I want to figure out how long the adapter between this Heim joint, we're gonna say like, I would say like center of the Heim joint to the tie rod will be. That way, you know, we'll have some adjustment between the two. And yeah, so the wheels were straight, so I'm gonna kind of straighten this out just roughly. I mean, this is a rough measurement because, you know, obviously those rods are only gonna come in some pretty standard lengths, and we don't have to be spot on because there's a ton of adjustment here. So let's take a measurement here and see what we got. So now I think what I'm gonna try and do is go, we're gonna turn the wheel to the left. So that's gonna push everything. The rack is gonna come this way. So we're gonna turn the wheel to the left. And I wanna go full lock and then see where this can possibly, how far this can possibly go before we are ultimately gonna bottom out right here on this spot of the lower control arm. The lower control arms were kind of plagued with this lower shock mount style because it kicks out. It actually goes wider, and then the control arm kicks out wide and then skinnies down again for this shock mount. So that is kind of a limiting factor, but I do have another thing that I'm potentially working on that we can go with that will help buy us some space here. But yeah, so let me throw the key in the car, cut the wheel all the way to the left, and then we'll see where that puts us. Okay, so now we are pushed out at full lock, and we are pretty much, I mean, we can go further with this. This guy can get pushed all the way in up against here, and to give us a an idea of where this can put us. So let's see. Figure 4.5 inches out from about where I was. That'll put us to, honestly, about here. So this, I know for sure, will be contacting the LCA. I mean, we are up against the LCA. So like if this was our stop, if this was our stop right here, then yes, that is it. So let's bump it in a tiny bit. Although with my little solution that I'm gonna have here, I think we might actually be able to get this much. So let's say this is where we're gonna be. Push this out. So I would say about right here. Now, I know that's kind of hard to imagine for angle, but that's a pretty good amount of angle. I think that is what we will be able to get away with if I do the Heim joints that I want to do. I think we will be able to get away with that. I love that. And I think kind of what helps us is that we are offsetting the knuckle from the lower control arm. So our Heim joint, we only have a small spacer on here. Once our Heim joint is up and in place, I don't know, we might have a little more room to play with here because we are actively spacing it up the entire knuckle away from the LCA. I think part of the issue is that when you have a factory ball joint and your knuckle is sitting all the way down here, it puts your tie rod down more along here. So, all right, I got my measurement here. I'm gonna measure bolts here, a bolt for here, and I'm gonna measure a bolt length for here. And then I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and I am going to basically order the piece that I need for this, and then I'm gonna get my hands on some bolts. That way we can bolt this up for good, especially right here. And then also right here, I can get a nut on here. We'll bolt it up for good. So that's that. That's where we're at. We are close, guys. We are real close. As soon as I can get this all lined up and the last pieces that I need made, we're sending this out to get CNC'd. That's the final call. We are ready to rock and roll. I'm spending the money on it. We're sending it out to get CNC'd. So don't mind the glare. I have a crack in my screen protector right now, but I hope you guys, I know I want to do like a full update video of what's going on, and I figured, you know what? Fisher got me this stuff today. It got delivered. I was like, I don't feel like making you guys wait. So we're just gonna jump in and we're gonna make a video about it. And update wise, I'm gonna be putting the 391 in the Drift-V soon. I'm kind of, it might be a driveway project because now that this is in here, it is gonna stay like this for a little bit because I'm just gonna wait until I have the CNC parts to test fit on this car, and that way we will take our stock angle measurements. I'm gonna get some turntables, so we're gonna get our stock angle measurements, we're gonna get our angle kit measurements and all that. So 391 diff is going into the Drift-V very soon. I know a lot of you guys were asking about that in the video when I assembled it from like a year ago at this point. That will be going in, and then while it's up, I bought a welder and I've kind of been practicing a little bit. I will be doing a video of some trailer modifications coming up. Maybe, I don't know when that's gonna be coming up. It has to be soon because I want to do it before we take the Drift-V up to Pennsylvania for the summer. And then I just need to do a full front to back bolt check on the V when it's up in the air. And I want to weld on some exhaust hangers so I stop ripping my exhaust literally off the car. So some exhaust hangers off the rear subframe that work with the exhaust that's on the car. And then, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. We did oil recently, and we did trans fluid when we swapped out the trans seal, and we're gonna have fresh diff fluid in the diff. So other than that, I mean, I think everything's ready to go. I might throw some new power steering fluid, do like a power steering flush before the season. We are taking it up in June to PA. June, July, a little bit of August, and I will be, because I need to get some practice time in on the right tire that I'm going to be using, and just some general seat time for an event that we're doing in September. I can't say what it is yet because I haven't gotten the official acceptance email. I've just been told that I'm going to be accepted into the event, so I don't want to hype it up just in case something happens. But in the meantime, between this angle kit and the diff and just getting the Drift V ready and the trailer mods, we got our hands full. Also this weekend, I'm building an attic floor so I can get rid of this whole pile of boxes behind me and we can go put everything up into storage. So we've been doing a lot around here, and I appreciate you guys still watching the videos and whatnot. We're getting close. We're getting super close. So CTS-V guys, and CTS guys, this will work on CTSs as well, base models. I appreciate your patience and sticking with us. I know and other options have come up as we've been going through this, but you know, we've had setbacks, but we've been really on the right path with this, and I appreciate you guys being patient and not cutting your knuckles just yet and waiting for this kit to come out, because this kit is going to be a game changer for this chassis. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sticking with us. And if you need CTS-V drift parts, StanceCo, www.stanceco.jp, that's where you can find them. Otherwise, make sure you hit the subscribe button to the channel. Make sure you check out some of the other videos. Our watch time has been doing great lately, and I would like to keep that momentum going. And I'll see you guys in the next one.